On 5, an arrest is made after a woman allegedly attacked a Metro bus driver, sending it crashing into the Asian House restaurant.
A change in plans when it comes to preparing for next year's flu vaccine, what it means for Wisconsin residents.
And if you need help with a consumer issue, it is a special telethon going on right now. You can connect with our Call for Action volunteers. You're watching News 3 Now at 5. Alert day conditions are in the forecast for tonight across southern Wisconsin.
Heavy rain is expected to last well into tonight and maybe through tomorrow. Here with more on what's the timing of these storms, Alex.
Well, we have that rain falling out there right now, heavy in Dane County. The wind will be ramping up tonight, then eventually changing over to snow as we go through Thursday. Let's take a look right now at radar 3000 to show you exactly where is that rain as we speak right now. Well, Dane County from west to east, it is coming down in a decent clip. Mount Horeb, you notice a little bit of yellow there. Heavy rainfall at times, as you were just saying, Susan and Eric, and take note here that rain is quickly advancing from south to north. It'll be up towards the Dells by the time we get closer to the 6 o'clock newscast, then lifting further north up towards the Camp Douglas and up towards Marquette and Green Lake counties. Heavy rain lasting clear through 10 o'clock tonight. Those winds will be strong out of the east. Could even see a couple of thunderstorms before. Take note. Look at this, changing over to snow rapidly across southern Wisconsin as we go into Wednesday morning. Around 9 o'clock, that rain will be changing over to snow in the Madison area. Heavy rain is expected all night, with that rain changing to snow north and west of Madison and reaching Madison by 9 o'clock. Coming up in Maine weather, I'll let you know how long that snow lasts and who gets the heaviest snow on Wednesday.
All right, Alex, thank you. The woman suspected of attacking a bus driver, leading the bus to crash into a local restaurant last month, is now in custody.
Our Kyle Pozorski is live outside the Dane County Jail with details on this arrest. Kyle?
Well, good evening, Eric and Susan. Like you said, this person was arrested earlier today and brought here to the county jail, and now they have not been formally charged, but online records show that Raven O'Neill Johnson was arrested earlier on this morning. As you said, it was about a week ago when a Metro Transit bus crashed into a building on the east side. Madison police have previously said an initial investigation found a passenger attacked the driver, causing them to lose control and leading to heavy damage to both the Asian House restaurant and QPS employment. The suspect fled the scene before police arrived, and online records filed today show that Johnson, a 26-year-old woman, has tentative charges of disorderly conduct, battery to a public transit operator, and second-degree recklessly endangering safety. And now, despite a policy of not naming people accused of crimes until they are charged, News 3 Now is foregoing that policy, choosing to name Johnson because of the nature and severity of the crime. Reporting here live outside the Dane County Courthouse, I'm Kyle Pozorski, News 3 Now.
All right, Kyle, thank you. President Trump is just hours away now from speaking to the American people in a joint session of Congress. The White House says President Trump plans to focus much of his address on border security. Many Democratic lawmakers say they've asked fired government employees to be their guests as they condemn the new administration's efforts to slash the size of the federal government. Elon Musk, who has been leading the government downsizing effort, will also be in attendance tonight. And ahead of his speech, hundreds gathered outside the Capitol protesting that agenda.
Our Maddie Heimsch is live in downtown Madison. Maddie, have the protesters moved? Oh, no, you're back outside. They went back out in the rain. What's it like down there?
Hey, Susan and Eric. Yeah, back out in the rain now. The protesters just did 2 laps around Capitol Square. Now, when I talked to you guys at 4:30, we weren't sure how the weather would impact the demonstration. Well, it didn't seem like there were a ton of people, and the people that were here were kind of gathered inside the Capitol right around 4:30. But they came out, I would say, between 50 and 100 people just made their way around Capitol Square here 2 times, and it followed the march inside the rally that made its way inside the Capitol right around 3 o'clock. I would say that one was about 500 people. We talked to many of them, and they're here for a variety of issues. I'm going to let you take another look as they start chanting again here. They're, of course, rallying against the Trump administration, but there's a variety of issues they're talking about here. A lot of them protesting for reproductive rights, talking about the war between Russia and Ukraine, a lot of chants about democracy, and a lot of anti-Elon Musk sentiment here as well. So again, looking ahead towards the president's address to Congress tonight. We're going to stick out here with the ralliers in the rain until they're here. So I'm going to send it back to you guys in the nice warm studio for now, reporting outside the Wisconsin State Capitol. I'm Maddie Heim, News 3 Now.
Great job, Maddie. Thank you so much. Democrats are promising to punch back against Elon Musk in the race for control of the Wisconsin Supreme Court. Today, the Wisconsin Democratic Party announced a $1 million plus effort to portray the April 1st election as the first chance for angry voters to make their feelings known about what the Trump administration has been doing. This comes after America PAC, a group created by Musk, spent $2.3 million on digital ads, mailers, and canvassing to support Brad Schimmel in the Supreme Court race.
A new proposal in the state legislature works to reform pharmacy benefit managers. The bill looks to lower drug costs, increase transparency, and increase pharmacy access and safety. Now, in theory, PBMs are a bit of a middleman hired by insurance companies to manage and negotiate better prices for patients' prescription drug benefit programs. But in practice, 89% of drug claims are controlled by the three largest PBMs.
This was initially a good thing. It simplified the process for everyone. However, today, PBMs are vertically integrated Fortune 500 companies. This means that the parent company of the PBM can own the manufacturer, insurance company, and pharmacies itself.
Now, the bill has been named Cole's Act. That's in honor of Cole Schmidneck, who died from an asthma attack after delaying the purchase of his inhaler due to a rise in cost from just $66 to more than $539.
Public health experts say they are on edge after the Food and Drug Administration canceled an advisory meeting last week.
Now, that meeting happens every year. It brings in experts nationwide to discuss research for the next flu vaccine. Our Merrill Hubbard shows us what it means for Wisconsin.
In Wisconsin, data shows there's been about double the amount of influenza-related hospitalizations this year compared to last. This line right here, the pink one, represents the amount of flu-related hospitalizations, with a large spike happening within the first couple weeks of 2025. With this in mind, public health officials say the need for this yearly advisory meeting is urgent.
It really is important since you're looking at the data to determine the flu strain for the next season.
Maureen Buzalaki is the president of the Wisconsin Public Health Association.
By canceling this meeting, it really calls into question how they're going to get all of this information and data to the manufacturers in time.
The flu vaccine is updated every year.
When these kinds of decisions are being made, it's really important that we do have public health at the table.
The FDA notified experts last week that the meeting scheduled for March was canceled, and experts say it's still unclear why.
It sort of signals that, maybe the administration is not as interested in hearing from experts who, for many years, have been able to inform government officials on how best to protect Americans' health.
Ajay Sathi is a UW-Madison professor in population health sciences.
Things are getting derailed unnecessarily. That's not to say that we won't have a flu shot this fall.
He says the World Health Organization had a similar meeting last week to determine what strains should be tackled in the updated vaccine.
It's possible that the FDA will simply pick the strains that the World Health Organization, has already decided.
In Wisconsin, there's been an uptick in flu-related deaths and a decrease in vaccinations this year.
This season's kind of a good reminder of how important it is to get a flu shot.
Experts say that this year's flu season can continue until May and that it's not too late to get your flu shot.
Meryl, thank you. Our call for action telethon is underway.
The volunteers are here answering questions, all your consumer concerns right now. Consumer reporter Michelle Renee Quinn is live with more on today's telethon. Michelle Renee?
That's right. I'm here now, and we have our volunteers in the building. We have 5 volunteers here, and the total experience here is 50 years of consumer reporter issues. So consumer issues like auto repair problems, scams, healthcare, identity theft, they can help you. Last year, the team solved over 600 cases and returned about $950,000 to consumer pockets. And that consumer can be you if you call for action. That number is 608-270-2833. We'll be here until 7 p.m. today, and our call for action volunteers are in the building every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and they take consumer calls from Minnesota, Illinois, and Wisconsin. So don't be afraid to call, and you can always go to channel3000.com/call for action to fill out a form.
Michelle, Renee, thank you so much. It's great to have them here. They provide such a great service. Give them a call until 7. Again, thank you, Michelle, Renee. Today, the U.S. Department of Education's Secretary Linda McMahon released a letter calling for a change in goals for the federal agency. McMahon says the new vision for the department will remove red tape and barriers to allow parents to make the best educational choices for their children while refocusing public schools on meaningful learning in math, reading, science, and history, not, she says, divisive DEI programs and gender ideology. The state superintendent, Dr. Jill Underley, responding to the letter in a statement warning of potential impacts to Wisconsin students, saying, quote, disrupting our education system with a vague and underdeveloped plan could have devastating consequences for Wisconsin children, teachers, schools, and communities for generations to come, end quote.
Coming up on News 3 Now at 5, we'll take a look at the expected impacts of President Trump's tariffs on Americans.
And detailing the future of the Badger State, what topics the governor addressed at a luncheon earlier today. That's just ahead. And it's another crushing day on Wall Street triggered by tariff concerns. The Dow tumbling 670 points. The NASDAQ falls 65. S&P 500 loses 71.5. And we'll be right back.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5.
This afternoon, Governor Tony Evers attended a luncheon where he spoke on a number of issues.
And our Jalen Banks was in attendance and has more on what the governor had to say.
Tuesday afternoon, Governor Tony Evers addressed a crowd at the Madison Club for a luncheon with WISC Politics, detailing his plans for the Badger State, as well as expressing his displeasure for the tariffs put in place on Canada and Mexico by President Trump. Tuesday's luncheon, Governor Tony Evers spoke on a number of topics pertaining to the state. One of those include our state's correctional facilities, wanting to close a facility in Green Bay, lower the number of those incarcerated, and move juveniles out of the Lincoln Hills and Copper Lake School.
Whatever we can do to not be over capacity. Simple as that. We can't treat people, no matter how heinous the crime, we can't treat people this way.
The governor also spoke about the state superintendent race.
It'll be a race, and whoever wins, wins. I'm not supporting either candidate.
However, he did acknowledge he and the incumbent have not always seen eye to eye.
Let's start with the surplus. Her request was too high. I mean, there was no way we could take care of schools and other issues. Couldn't do it. I mean, it was ridiculously high.
Evers would go on to talk about his displeasure with the current tariffs on Canada and Mexico.
It's going to be hell to pay. This is not a good situation. We have good working relationships with Canada, certainly we do, with Mexico also. But just knowing that they're already retaliating against us, this is not good for our democracy.
He attributes part of the tariff issues to one of our branches of government.
And I'm just so disappointed in Congress. There's no legislative branch of our country right now. None. We have the executive and we have the judicial. Nothing is happening in Congress.
Reporting in downtown Madison, Jalen Banks, News 3 Now.
Jalen, thank you. Consumers and businesses in the U.S. stand to pay a hefty price for President Trump's tariffs on America's top 3 trading partners. Nearly everything the U.S. imports from those 3 nations is subject to tariffs of at least 20% in the case of China and 25% for Mexico and Canada. While the effect on Americans won't necessarily be immediate, it could raise prices for just about everything, including food items, electronics, toys, appliances, cars, and car parts, which could become costlier and harder to find.
We have alert day conditions in the forecast for tonight. Heavy rain set to move through southern Wisconsin.
Those showers could turn into snow, too. Just when we thought we had crossed that finish line, Alex.
Right.
It's March.
Yep, March coming in like a lion, no doubt here. And this is how much snow that we can expect by the time this weather system ends as we go into later Wednesday and by Thursday morning at midnight. Looking at upwards of 4, maybe 5, 6 inches up towards Juneau and Adams counties. 1 to 3 inches, maybe 2 to 4 inches as we head from Bosqueville over to Lone Rock. A slushy 1 to 2 in Madison and an inch or less towards Janesville. We'll be keeping an eye on the track of this weather system system to see if those snow amounts move north or south a little bit. We also have the water part of this weather system, just the rain part. We're going to ring out anywhere between 1 inch to 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches, perhaps some isolated 2.5 to 3 inch amounts over Lafayette counties throughout the entirety of this entire Alert Day event. Let's track the rain right now as we have here in Dane County. As you know, green from west to east all across Dane County, so any travel out there right now, windshield wipers will be going. As we spread our view across the rest of southern Wisconsin, take note the rain quickly moving from south to north, already reaching areas up towards the Dells, and eventually we'll be getting up to Camp Douglas, Marquette, and Green Lake counties within the next 30 minutes. By 6 o'clock, widespread rain, winds out of the southeast. Those winds will be picking up as well. Where you see the yellow, that's the heavier rain. Can't rule out as we carry forth through the rest of the night. 10 o'clock, the heavy rain continues, and a possibility of a thunderstorm or two as we move into the early morning hours of Wednesday. Then the snow part moves into southern Wisconsin, already changing to snow before 9 o'clock west of a line from, let's say, the Dells to Madison to Monroe, reaching Madison at around 9:30 in the morning, then quickly moving off towards the south and towards the east, all snow as we go into Wednesday afternoon. And with that, we also have the wind part of this weather system that will eventually be increasing as we move forth through the rest of the evening hours. By 10 o'clock, winds coming in strong out of the east at 30 miles per hour. As we put this into motion, look at this. The weather system moves through, winds coming in strong out of the north. By 9 o'clock, when the rain changes over to snow in Madison, 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts already reaching our communities out towards Boscobel, Lone Rock, Viroqua, Camp Douglas, and it's all purple here as we go into the 6 o'clock hour. Right around this time, too, tomorrow night, winds clocking between 40 to 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So wind advisories alone, that's Alert Day criteria, but we also have the rain and the snow. Eventually, this all ends as we go into Wednesday evening. But look at the low Wednesday night, down to 21. That means anything that's wet is going to freeze. So we got to keep that in mind. We'll talk more about that tomorrow as those temperatures tumble. A nice day on Thursday. Coming up at 6, you want to join me too because we have another weather system on Friday that could bring a little bit of light snow. But the good news is here, even though March is coming in like a lion, look at Tuesday and Wednesday next week. Mid-60s. How about that?
First 60s. That's a hopeful sign. Alex, thank you. After the break on News 3 Now at 5, our Call for Action telethon continues tonight until 7 o'clock. We'll check in on the work being done by all of our local volunteers. That's next.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5.
Currently, our Call for Action telethon is underway. Volunteers are answering questions about consumer concerns right now, all the way until 7 tonight.
Boy, they have a lot of success stories.
They
do
sure
really great work. Let's check in with our consumer reporter, Michelle Renee Quinn. Michelle Renee?
Yes, Susan, I'm here now with the director of Madison's Call for Action. This is Jackie. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Could you tell me a little bit about why you decided to become a volunteer for Call for Action?
Yeah, I'd love to. I watched Channel 3 and I'd seen several stories that were on air about consumer problems. And then I saw a drive where they were looking for some volunteers. I've always been the one with my family and friends that people turned to when they had consumer problems, needed someone to make a call, write a letter. So it seemed a natural thing to do. And I have loved the 3 years I've been here. I love helping the consumers.
Can you tell me a little bit about how you help the consumers? How do you get involved with these cases and help them take action?
Most typically, we do that after talking to consumers, hearing about the roadblocks that they've seen, and then jumping in and talking to the companies and getting to the right person to get that resolution they need, get their money back.
So that includes advice such as reporting to certain federal or state agencies, and then you guys help mediate as well?
Yes, we do a lot of mediation, and often we'll have some consumers also file complaints with Better Business Bureau, the Wisconsin Consumer Protection Agency, sometimes the FTC.
All right, well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
If you want Jackie and our Call for Action teams help. You can dial in at 608-270-2833. They will be here until 7 p.m. answering your calls today. And our volunteers are always in the building every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. We do take calls from Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Illinois. So if you're a consumer with an issue, don't be afraid to dial in. And you can always fill out a form on channel3000.com/call-for-action.
Good
All
stuff.
right, Michelle, Renee, thanks
They do
so
great
much.
work.
Yeah, they really
great
do.
work.
Very
Thanks, Michelle, Renee.
successful. We'll have a final check of the weather after a short break. This is video from Yellowstone National Park. They started their intensive snow clearing process today to get ready for all of the visitors with regular vehicles who will be visiting in the spring. And then this guy showed up. Hey, what are you guys doing?
That's right.
A bison just popped up as the crews were working on clearing the way. They're using those large snow plows and snowmobiles.
Now, those bison are all over the place. Yellowstone, which receives up to 10 feet of snow each winter in some areas, 10 feet in some of the areas, probably higher elevations, I would assume. Park officials say they spent about 3 months in the winter grooming 180 miles of park roads. Yellowstone will be open to those regular vehicles on April 18th and will completely open on Memorial Day weekend. That's going to be here before we know it.
Yeah, it's on its way.
That's a lot of snow. We did not have much snow, but maybe some coming.
Some is on the way, and we've got all this rain too before the snow. Luckily, we're not going to have snow where we're going to need plows like that across southern Wisconsin. But where is that rain right now? Dane County, west to east, it is heavy rain, especially over towards Mount Horeb. If you're heading west, or if you know anybody who's going to head west on 151, that's where the heavy stuff is right now over southwestern Dane County. If we zoom on out here, look how widespread that rain is moving north to the Dells at 6. We'll use Future Track to track the snow moving in by Wednesday.
All right. Alex, thanks. CBS Evening News coming your way next. We're back in 30 minutes for News 3 Now at 6.